During the 4th year I was abroad with Marcus for his advanced studies, Viridia suddenly erupted in riots, and all the international students rushed to return home. But brought a junior student back safely, leaving me in Viridia, and taking my passport with him. After surviving the chaos, I filed for divorce, and Marcus panicked. Hearing the busy signal again, I let my arm fall weakly. The riots downstairs started up again. Gunshots, screams, and police sirens left me terrified and restless. I helplessly retreated to my room, but the next second, the sound of shattering glass came from the living room. A stray bullet had just pierced through the living room window. I didn't know when this chaos would stop. I could only cower and cover my head, trying not to listen. Most of my compatriots had already returned home, away from this dangerous place. But I, having lost my passport, couldn't buy a plane ticket and was unable to leave immediately. Originally, my passport was with Marcus's. However, he left so suddenly that when I woke up, the space beside me was empty. When I called him again, all I got was a busy signal. When I finally got a reply from him, he merely brushed me off, saying he had an urgent matter. If hadn't posted that social media post, I might have actually believed he'd forgotten to take me with him because he had an emergency. I texted Marcus that he had taken my passport and I couldn't return home, but he never replied. The food in the refrigerator was running low, and the commotion downstairs continued. To avoid starving in a foreign country, I planned to go to the supermarket for supplies once the downstairs calmed down. Unexpectedly, the cash at home had also been taken by Marcus when he returned. Without money, it wasn't just about going hungry, the rent was due soon. My hand trembling, I repeatedly dialed Marcus's phone until my phone had only 2% battery left. Only then did he finally reply with a text, "In surgery, deal with it yourself if you have something." But in Brittany's latest social media post, Marcus was with them at an alumni gathering. He wasn't in surgery at all. Because I had no money for rent, the landlord mercilessly took back the keys and evicted me. Helpless, I dragged my luggage and ended up sleeping on the streets. My phone also died. Recalling the recent news, I prayed I wouldn't encounter any of those rioters. But fate had other plans. A gunshot startled me awake from my sleep. A street fight had broken out where I was hiding. Gunshots echoed relentlessly. Curled in the corner, I trembled with fear. A bullet suddenly pierced through my shoulder. It wasn't until I saw the gushing blood that I realized what had happened. Even covering the wound, blood seeped through my fingers. I was only 25. I didn't want to die in a foreign country. In despair, I cried for help, but no one could hear me. Eventually, I passed out. When I opened my eyes again, the smell of hospital disinfectant filled my nose. Aunt, a compatriot who owned a restaurant, had saved me and brought me to the University Medical Center. Thinking of the exorbitant medical bills at this hospital, I didn't know how to thank her. This Eleanor, a stranger to me, had given me the greatest warmth in a foreign land. "Aunt, please leave me your contact information. I must transfer the money back to you." "Money is a small matter, dear. But why haven't you returned home yet?" I lost my passport, so I can't go back now." Upon learning of my predicament, Aunt helped me go to the embassy to get a new passport and also bought my plane ticket home. The moment the plane landed, I took a deep breath. Finally, I didn't have to live in constant fear. The feeling of surviving death brought tears to my eyes instantly. After saying goodbye to Aunt, I looked at the message Marcus had sent me 20 hours ago on my phone. He told me to wait a few more days and he would arrange for someone to help me return home. I scoffed, my lips curling ironical. I didn't contact Marcus, I just took a taxi home by myself. Anyway, calling him wouldn't make him available to pick me up. Calling would only result in him telling me to wait or to deal with it myself. Sometimes, I wondered what this marriage was even for. When I got home, I was so exhausted I had no strength left. I collapsed onto the bed and fell into a deep sleep. It had been a long time since I'd slept so peacefully. Drowsily, the playful chatter of a woman in the house woke me up. I walked out of my room, puzzled, only to see Marcus and Brittany. They were sitting on the sofa, looking intimately at the laptop on the coffee table. When I walked up behind them, they still hadn't noticed my presence. "What are you two doing?" My sudden voice startled Brittany badly. She jumped up from the sofa, looking at me with a panicked expression. "Grace, when did you get back? Why didn't you tell us?" It seemed they had been up to a lot of questionable things while I was away. "So why are you in my house?" I asked Brittany, but my gaze was fixed on Marcus. She just got back and had nowhere to stay, so I let her move in. Oh, so Mr. Marcus is still as considerate and warm-hearted as ever. His wife could wait while facing riots abroad, but he rushed back home early with a junior student and then let Brittany move into our apartment. Grace, Brittany is young and has no life experience. I was just worried she might run into danger being alone out there. And what about me? When you left me alone in Viridia, did you ever think about what I might encounter? My single question left him speechless. The apartment we rented is very safe. What could possibly happen? Besides, you came back perfectly fine, didn't you? How ironic. After barely escaping death and returning home, in his eyes, I was perfectly fine. I suddenly lost all interest in arguing with him. Seeing me turn to leave, Marcus suddenly grabbed my hand, as if trying to soothe me or show remorse. It won't happen. And again. You've had a long journey. I'll run a hot bath for you so you can relax. I smiled and pulled away from him. No need to trouble yourself. I seem to have interrupted the two of you. Grace. Marcus frowned in displeasure. Don't be childish. The tension in the air gradually rose, when Brittany suddenly spoke in a fragile voice. Grace, Dr. Marcus, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have caused you trouble. I'll move out right away. Please don't let me cause any arguments between you two. With tears in her eyes, she ran to the guest room to pack her belongings. As if she had suffered an immense grievance. Marcus and I stood in a standoff in the living room. She's just a young girl, why are you arguing with her? What if something happens to her out there? I tugged at the corner of my mouth, a bitter smile forming. If you're worried, you can go with her. When came out with her luggage, Marcus got up and rushed to help her carry it. I'm taking her to find a hotel. I'll be back soon. With that, he slammed the door and left. Again, Marcus left me behind for someone else. I should have been angry, but at this moment, I was terrifyingly calm. Years of indifference had worn down my feelings for him. Even witnessing his favoritism, I felt nothing. I sat on the sofa and poured myself a glass of water, but my injured right arm had no strength. The wound was still throbbing, and in the dead of night, the pain became even more pronounced. Each throb reminded me of that day, how helpless and terrified I had been. Marcus didn't return until after midnight. His action of draping his jacket over me startled me awake. Even after returning home, I couldn't escape the shadows of the past for a long time. I remained vigilant even in sleep. Seeing me startled, he simply sat down next to me. Why aren't you sleeping in our room? Too lazy to move. I brushed off the jacket Marcus had placed on me. Because it reeked of Brittany's perfume. Just by the smell, I could guess how intimate they had been. It was utterly sickening. Marcus bent down to pick up the jacket, looking at me with a hint of exasperation. It was my mistake to leave you there, but you shouldn't take it out on others or question my relationship with Brittany. Right. Grace, I understand your feelings, but don't go too far. Brittany and I are just colleagues from the medical school, and since you're back home, why didn't you tell me? I was worried. Worried? If he was truly worried, he wouldn't have left me alone in Viridia for so many days without a word. In the past, I might have been placated by his gentle words. But the moment I saw Brittany in my house, I understood. He truly didn't care about me. If he wanted to, he knew how to care for people, how to protect them. From the very beginning, I was the one who pursued Marcus first. I was convinced he was the one, believing that whatever it took to win over the person I loved was worth it. In this unequal relationship, he was always superior, and I was only ever humble and eager to please. For him, I didn't hesitate to use family resources to help Marcus study abroad and then stayed there to take care of him. This also angered my parents. My father was so furious he cut off my financial support. Later, Marcus proposed to me, and I thought my genuine efforts had moved him. But for years after we married, he remained as cold as ice towards me. It was wrong of me to leave you there alone, but I also had an urgent matter and had to return home immediately. Brittany came back with me for the same reason. Oh, I see. Grace, what kind of attitude is that? I touched my throbbing shoulder wound, feeling too exhausted both physically and mentally to argue with him anymore. Sorry, it's too late tonight. I'm tired. Perhaps I had always been too easygoing, to the point where he thought he could dismiss me however he pleased. He probably thought a flimsy explanation would make everything go away. But now, I didn't want to hear any more excuses from Marcus. I ignored Marcus, went straight back to my room, and locked the door. After a long hesitation, I took a deep breath, opened my contacts, and nervously dialed my mother's number. Hearing her long-missed, familiar voice, I choked up instantly. Mom, I want a divorce. Before, for Marcus, I had sacrificed too much, giving up my career as a family heir to fulfill his ambitions. Now, I didn't want him anymore. I wanted to live my own life. After an open and honest conversation, my parents forgave my past stubbornness. Your father said that once you've sorted out your personal matters, he'll send you to the Northeast to hone your skills again. Clutching my phone, I firmly replied, okay. They also contacted a top-tier lawyer for me to prepare for the divorce lawsuit. With anticipation for the future, I drifted back into sleep. After a peaceful night's sleep, when my alarm clock rang, I got myself ready. In the living room, Marcus was still sitting on the sofa, his hands rapidly typing on his laptop. Hearing me come out, his tone was uncharacteristically gentle. You're awake. Have some breakfast first, I brought it for you. I looked suspiciously at the breakfast on the table. Peanut butter pancakes. They did look tempting. The sun rose in the west indeed. I picked up my dishes and utensils and began picking out all the peanuts before eating heartily. Seeing the peanuts picked out on the table, Marcus was about to ask in confusion, but I explained directly. Oh, I'm allergic to peanuts, not just picky. Don't misunderstand. Marcus's face registered surprise, and he stammered, I'm sorry, I didn't wait for him to finish, directly cutting off his apology. The pancakes are quite good, thank you. Seeing that I was in a good mood that morning, Marcus pulled up a chair and sat opposite me. Grace, I want to have a proper talk with you about yesterday. A proper talk? But in the past, many times, I had wanted to talk to Marcus about Hat was truly on my mind. He always ignored me. Often, I would ramble on, and he would turn a deaf ear. Occasionally, annoyed, he would snap, can you just shut up? You're so noisy. Even when he had free time, he paid little attention to anything I said. We'd lived together for so long, and he still didn't even know what I was allergic to. Because he didn't care, he ignored me. No need. There's nothing to talk about. Are you blaming me because of Brittany? Then I promise you I won't let anyone else live in our home again. It's fine. After all, a young girl like Brittany certainly needs a man to take care of her. My uncharacteristic behavior stunned Marcus. Can't you just talk to me properly? What kind of attitude is that? I looked at his indignant expression, wondering what I had done to anger him again. Was he mad that I wasn't questioning him like before about why he brought another woman home, then started doubting his relationship with Brittany, and throwing a jealous tantrum? I have something to do this morning, I'm leaving now. With that, I neatly put away the dishes and utensils, grabbed my purse, and walked out the door, ignoring his displeasure from behind me. If you don't want to talk properly this time, then let's not talk ever again. His only reply was the crisp sound of my closing door. My shoulder injury needed dressing changes and a follow-up visit. After getting an appointment at the University Medical Center, I patiently sat in the waiting. By chance, I ran into Brittany, who was on duty there. Grace, are you sick? It's none of your business. I didn't want to engage with her. Oh, it's so pathetic to come to the hospital alone. Well, Dr. Marcus is an excellent person, so he's always very busy. Pathetic? Maybe a little. But to think she could provoke me with just a few words was to underestimate me. Being an usurper of my home is indeed pathetic. Ms. Brittany, did you find a place to stay last night? Or do you still need to eke into other people's homes? I wasn't sneaking around. Dr. Marcus agreed to let me stay. The surrounding patients, hearing the gossip, started to gather, looking at all those eyes eager for drama. I stood up and said to Brittany, are you saying Dr. Marcus is having an affair and letting you live in our house as the other woman? Brittany was mortified by my words, her eyes blinking rapidly as if she was about to cry. I heard my number being called and, too lazy to argue with her, started to walk away. Unexpectedly, she suddenly reached out and pressed down on my shoulder. Grace, how could you accuse me like that? Her hand landed right on my wound. Wincing in pain, I used my left hand to push her hand away. Even though I didn't use much force, she stumbled backward and fell to the ground. At the same time, Marcus's voice came from behind me. Grace, what are you doing to Brittany now? I turned around, and blood had already seeped through my white shirt, spreading like a blooming flower on my shoulder. Marcus's eyes instantly fixed on that glaring red. When did you get hurt? Why didn't you tell me? What good would telling you do? I didn't want to waste words with Marcus, but he grabbed my hand again, not letting me go. Dr. Marcus, please don't waste my time. My number will be called soon. I pulled my hand free, stepped past Marcus, and entered the exam. The doctor diagnosed that my arm nerve was injured, and it would likely leave permanent sequelae. I would have difficulty holding things in the future. Hearing this result, I was distracted while following the nurse to have my wound treated. If this sequela never healed, it would certainly affect me to some extent. A tall, white-clad figure stopped in front of me. I looked up. It was Marcus again. He looked at my wound, his expression serious. How did you get such a severe injury? I pulled my clothes together and calmly replied, I was injured during the riots. His eyes instantly reddened with urgency. Then why didn't you tell me? I'm your husband. I looked at him with a puzzled expression. Really? He still remembered he had a wife. In the past, whenever I felt wronged, I wanted to confide in Marcus. But he found me annoying, said I was making a big deal out of things, and told me to handle it myself. Now he wanted to hear, but I didn't want to say anything. Grace, at a time like this, are you still holding a grudge against me? Dr. Marcus, it's your work hours now. Your patients must be waiting for you. Ignoring the shock in his eyes, I prepared to leave after my wound was treated. But he reached out and blocked my way. Then wait for me to take leave, and we can go home together, okay? I simply ignored his request and impatiently waved his hand away. Marcus, aren't you annoying? Marcus's hand paused in mid-air, because such impatient words were always what he said to me. Grace, then I'll come home after work to check on your wound, okay? Pulling his hand away, I walked out of the University Medical Center without any hesitation. I did have an urgent matter. I was eager to meet with my lawyer to discuss the divorce. Ms. Grace, this is the divorce papers I've drafted for you. Please take a look and see if there's anything that needs to be revised. Taking the divorce papers, I examined them carefully. We had no children, which meant much less entanglement. We could have had a child. I became pregnant in our first year of marriage. But after I became pregnant, Marcus was unhappy. He said his focus was on his studies, and told me to terminate this pregnancy first, and we could talk about it after his career was stable. And despite my pleas, he took me to the hospital for forced termination and IUD insertion. To this day, I remember what that aborted embryo looked like. While I was grieving the loss of my child, Marcus remained at the medical school, leaving me alone at home to process my emotions. Only after I had appeased myself and given in for his sake. Did he return? Our relationship had been deteriorating for a long time. Marcus and I were destined to divorce. It was only a matter of when I would be completely fed up with his hurtful actions. It's good. Let's go with this. I didn't really care about the property distribution. As long as I could get a divorce, everything would be fine. After talking with Ms. Hayes, I didn't return home until sunset. As soon as I pushed open the door, I was met with Marcus's gloomy face. Instead of checking on my wound as he had promised at the University Medical Center, he confronted me with a harsh interrogation. He slammed his phone onto the coffee table, making a loud thud. If I hadn't left work early, I wouldn't have known my wife's busy meant she was on a date with another man. Facing his fury, I saw a photo on his phone of me and Ms. Hayes talking in a coffee shop. It was just coffee with a friend. Grace, don't you think you owe me an explanation? I picked up his phone, and the moment my finger touched the screen, the photo minimized. What appeared was his chat interface with Brittany. Dr. Marcus, I saw Grace with a strange man. So, Brittany had secretly taken the picture. There's nothing to explain. No relationship means no relationship. It's not like I brought someone home. Marcus was furious, and his gaze suddenly stopped on my hand when he looked at me. Where's our wedding ring on your hand? I pawned it. I had pawned it when I was abroad. Without cash, and if I didn't pawn anything valuable, how could I have returned? I couldn't keep letting Aunt pay for everything. Couldn't you have told me you didn't have money? How could you pawn our wedding ring? I tried to reach you, but you told me you were busy and to deal with it myself. Recalling his own words, Marcus's expression turned grim. Which shop did you pawn it at? I'll go redeem it. I didn't answer him. Instead, I pulled the divorce papers from my bag and placed them on the coffee table. The dazzling words divorce, panic flashed in Marcus's eyes. Divorce? Why? I no longer wanted to explain the reasons. I hadn't come back to negotiate with him this time. Just to inform him. There was nothing left to discuss between us. A divorce would be better for everyone. Grace, can you stop playing games? Are you using divorce to threaten me again? I stopped, my back to him. I'm not playing games. I've already signed the papers. Marcus tried to grab me, but I was a step ahead, locking the door to the room. Ignoring's pleading voice outside the door, I packed my belongings. After years of marriage to Marcus, I was the same as when I married him. I hadn't even bought many new clothes. Everything I packed fit perfectly into one suitcase. On the nightstand was my wedding photo with Marcus. I took out the photo and cut myself out of it. When we took that wedding photo, Marcus had a rare smile, making me think I was his exception, and I indulged in fantasies of our future. Marcus pounded on the door a few times, then his phone suddenly rang outside. He rejected the call a few times, but the caller persisted, so he had to answer. It was Brittany. I don't know what the girl said, but Marcus rushed off. After hearing the front door close, I pulled my suitcase out. My phone buzzed. It was Marcus. Grace, I have something urgent to attend to. Wait for me to get back to talk. I didn't reply and simply got into the car to the Vance. The next day at the Vance, I was woken up by my phone ringing. Marcus had bombarded my phone with calls. I had said everything I needed to say yesterday, so I directly blocked his number. Unable to reach me, he even called from Brittany's number. Without exception, I blocked all of them. During these days at home, I was busy adjusting my state of mind, needing to reintegrate into work. After years wasted on Marcus, it wasn't easy to take over my responsibilities again. I was working tirelessly until an old classmate sent me an invitation to an alumni gathering. Some classmates at the gathering were new business magnates, and also potential partners I wanted to cultivate, so I gladly accepted. After we sat down, everyone implicitly left the seat next to me empty, filling all the other chairs. I felt something was off. Sure enough, Marcus arrived. He acted as if nothing had happened, sitting down beside me with a smiling, amiable demeanor. But he tightly clasped my hand. Where have you been, wife? Let's go home together in a bit. Did you arrange this gathering? Before could answer, the old classmate sitting next to me advised, Grace, honestly, you pursued Marcus so relentlessly back then, and now that you've finally become a couple, why are you getting a divorce? Others around chimed in, exactly. Spouses make up after quarrels, harmony brings prosperity. I felt a surge of anger. I wanted to leave, but Marcus still held my hand, and I couldn't pull free. His tired eyes looked at me, as if asking how long I would keep this up. Everyone's gazes converged on us, irritating me. I abruptly stood up and, without even a word of goodbye to anyone, grabbed my purse and walked out. I struggled to pull my hand free from Marcus's grip, and the sudden movement tore at my wound again. The pain made me gasp. Marcus noticed my distress and let me go. After I walked out of the private, the world finally became quiet. But followed me out. I have medicine in the car. Should I take a look at your wound? Don't trouble yourself. I'll go to the hospital myself. You won't even let me help you? Grace, why are you so heartless towards me? The pain in my shoulder made me break into a cold sweat. I didn't want to say another word. Seeing that I ignored him, Marcus forcefully picked me up and started walking, disregarding my struggles. Even after we got into the car, I resisted his touch. Don't move around too much. Reopening the wound is not a small matter. Marcus applied the medicine very carefully, afraid of hurting me. I remembered a time when I slipped and scraped my knee badly on a rainy day. I came home disheveled and bloody, only to be met with Marcus's look of disgust. My wound hurt terribly, and I begged him to put medicine on it for me, but he just coldly tossed the first aid kit to me and turned to go back to his study. I still have papers to read. Put on the medicine yourself. He then tried to get out of the car, reaching for the car door only to find it locked by Marcus. Open the car door. Grace, let's go home, okay? Marcus, we're getting a divorce. I don't agree to a divorce. I stared at him intently, then suddenly asked, is tormenting me like this enjoyable for you? No, I just want you to come back. It was only today that I realized how childish and ridiculous Marcus was, no longer in love. He disregarded my embarrassment, inviting a group of old classmates to mediate. He hadn't considered at all what impact this would have on me if it became widely known. He did all these things only thinking about using external pressure to force me back, never considering how I would face acquaintances. Don't make me hate you, Marcus. I issued my final warning. Marcus, however, looked somewhat puzzled and wronged. Grace, why are you so distant with me now? Finally, he gave in, unlocking the car door and letting me leave. I called for a private car from the Vance and went straight back to the villa. Marcus still hadn't given up, following behind in his car. However, he underestimated the professional skill of the Vance driver, who shook him off after a few turns. His disagreement to the divorce didn't matter to me. I could file for divorce after 2 years of separation. My immediate priority now was to accomplish my own career goals. Because of Marcus, I had wasted too much time. After returning to the Vance, I was assigned to start from the ground up. During my days working again at Vance, I felt a long-lost vitality. My colleagues in the same department were all young women. They were my age but much more cheerful than I was. Under their influence, I gradually emerged from the shadows of the past. Work became increasingly easy, and everything was getting back on track. I often forgot to eat, and sudden stomach cramps forced me to go to the hospital. I specifically chose a hospital where Marcus wouldn't be. While picking up my medicine, I ran into Brittany again. It turned out they had been invited to attend a professional forum these past few days. She didn't look pleased to see me. Yet, she approached and blocked my path. "Oh, Grace, you're still here? I thought you had eloped with some man." My stomach was already upset, and I had no energy to argue with her. I tried to go around her, but Brittany refused to move. Instead, she escalated, leaning in closer with a sneer. "After all this playing hard to get, Marcus is distraught over you every day. If you were smart, you'd let him go." "Brittany, I don't have time to discuss men with you right now. Move." But wasn't about to give up. "You won't be smug for long. Marcus will definitely divorce you and marry me." Her eyes were full of triumph, openly displaying her arrogance. And it was true, Marcus's favoritism towards her certainly gave her reason to be so brazen. "All right then, please tell Marcus to sign the divorce papers as soon as possible. I've been waiting a long time." I quickly walked away, but Brittany shouted loudly at my retreating back, "I'm pregnant. It's Marcus's baby." Although I had long been disappointed with Marcus, hearing that news made me pause, and my heart filled with immense irony. How ridiculous. Marcus and I had only just started discussing divorce a couple of months ago, and Brittany was already pregnant. They must have been secretly having an affair for a long time. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but gag. I felt sad and disgusted that I had ever loved such a person. Just outside the hospital, I ran into the person I least wanted to see right now. Marcus, unshaven, excitedly rushed over, wanting to hug me. I pushed him away. "Grace, are you here for me?" I looked at him, my eyes filled with nothing but revulsion. Marcus, ignoring my reaction, pulled a diamond ring from his pocket. It was the one I had pawned abroad. "Look, I redeemed the wedding ring. Can we go back and live a good life together?" "Go back? How can we go back to how things were? Do you know Brittany is pregnant?" Hearing that Brittany was pregnant, Marcus instantly panicked. "That was just an accident. Don't worry, I'll make her get an abortion." "No need. She's young, abortion is too damaging to the body. Anyway, we're getting divorced." I walked around Marcus, preparing to leave. "If you don't like Brittany, then I'll cut ties with her." "Grace, please don't leave, okay? Even without Brittany, we would still get a divorce. Haven't you understood why yet?" Marcus angrily ran his hands through his hair, messing it up. "We were fine before, how could it come to divorce?" I snatched the wedding ring from Marcus's hand and threw it into the rushing traffic on the road. Speeding cars crushed the ring into tiny pieces. Just like our relationship, shattered and humiliating. Marcus tried to rush over and retrieve it but was powerless. "Let's get a divorce." I didn't want to be disgusted by him anymore. He never understood how selfish he was. Someone living only for himself could never perceive the feelings of others. "How can you bear to leave me after years of our relationship? My life has already been wasted for 6 years by you. I don't want to be held back by you any longer. Please, let me go, okay?" "No, Grace, we loved each other so much. How could it be a waste?" "Loved each other? Then tell me, what beautiful memories do we have?" Marcus was stumped by my question. He thought for a long time but couldn't say anything. After all, what he thought was love was just a false harmony bought by my one-sided devotion. I endured the loneliness, he enjoyed the prestige. Is there really no turning back? No. If I could, I would even wish I had never met you. After saying that, I walked away without looking back. A month later, Marcus and I obtained our divorce papers at City Hall. He was visibly gaunt and pale, his eyes bloodshot. I'm sorry, Marcus said. I was a jerk before. I let you down. I didn't have time to listen to him confess his sins. I took the divorce papers and left. My career was on the rise now, and I had a lot to do. 2 years later, relying on my outstanding work capabilities, I gradually rose to the management level of the Vance. The stability of my career helped me rediscover the meaning of my life. I was meant to shine like this. Once I reached a higher position, many people tried to pursue me, but having been hurt once, I no longer wanted to enter the tomb of marriage. I chose a cute little cat to accompany me, becoming my new family member. When I saw Marcus again, he had changed a lot. He was holding a boy, a child with intellectual disabilities. If not for the conspicuous ring on his hand, I wouldn't have recognized him. I heard that after divorcing me, he and Brittany quickly got married. Brittany was naturally suspicious, constantly checking Marcus's schedule, leaving him overwhelmed. He lost his job due to a surgical error and had to stay unemployed at home, only to then hear news of Brittany cheating with her boss. As if sensing my gaze, he turned and saw me, his face paling, eyes reddening. I simply pretended not to see him, rolled up the car window, and told the driver to go. For the rest of our lives, we would have no more entanglement. I had my own clear path forward to take.